Hey, what's up guys? This is Oakley and we're going to be doing an interesting massive battle. Now, interesting because yes, it is indeed going to be a massive battle, but also because I am playing with a fellow you may recognize, Heir of Carthage. Now, when the battle was underway, we were in the lobby. Heir was using sort of a pseudonym that he goes by. Oftentimes online he likes to change it up, but I can appreciate that. And he sort of messaged me to let me know that, hey, this was Heir. He revealed his secret identity to me, which is fine. You know, it's I've been meaning to play with Heir, and he actually has a video up on his channel of how this battle went from Heir's perspective, and he had a lot of kind words. Gave a generous shout out to my channel, but yeah, I hope to have more of these types of battles with him. I know he has commented in his videos that he has a hard time finding good matches. I do as well, and it's always a pleasure to play with Heir. Now let's go ahead and put this on pause just as the battle gets started. So I've shown you the army deployment. I'm going to be putting up the two rosters in front of you for my own faction, Egypt, and the enemy army of Sparta. Sparta is going to be sort of my main opponent that I'll be fighting. Heir is going to be somewhat distracted at the start. Let's go over my build and sort of how I like to play my factions. Well, first off, I never really have a concrete idea of what the best meta build is. I kind of just throw together different builds sort of on a whim. The idea with this one was to bring 4 of these thorax pikes to zone out certain areas, and then sort of that would be to force my opponent to go a certain way. To back that up, I would then have Galatian Royal Guards, extremely good Egyptian heavy infantry that could then, be my killing power. My idea with Egypt is I want to have something to fix my opponent and then deal, devastating blows once they're fixed. So how am I going to do that? Well, multiple ways. One is going to be 3 Tarentine cav units. These are excellent cav units for skirmishing, enemy heavy cav, but also once you have enemy infantry pinned or cavalry pinned, these guys can quickly move into position and shower javelins in the rear of your opponent. Ptolemaic cav, who are very good on the charge, not so much in sustained combat, but that's fine. I'm not looking for sustained combat. I want to be in and out, knocking people out left and right. Now, over here is going to be a very important part of my build. It's going to be 4 of these Thureos spears, which I would definitely recommend bringing. These guys are so good, so versatile. They have zone of control, not only because they're spears that can ward out cav, but they actually have the ability to throw their own spears, function as javelin men. So you throw those guys out, they can duck, dive, dip, dive, and dodge. No cavalry is going to want to get close. If infantry gets close, you can kind of take a fight, form into square, and then have your supporting units like this. I'm going to sprinkle in some Cretan archers and light peltas within the screen of my protected Thureos spears, and that is kind of going to be my maneuverable wing that, if you have this on a wing, you can micro, you can counter almost anything with this. Which is what I'm hoping to do. My ally, however, has brought Bactria, so he has a whole bunch of these citizen cav. You can see 6 of those lined up there, 6 of the Bactrian noble horse, and then he has some Bactrian horse archers up in the front, and I swear he had some cataphracts as well. Yeah, it looks like he's got 3 cataphracts, Hellenic cataphracts. So very expensive build, and I would say cavalry all by itself will never really win you a fight, mostly because you have less troops and you're going to grind it out and lose your men. But I guess he's counting on having the backing of my men, and immediately once the battle starts, he's going to take the right, and he says to me in the chat, you take Sparta, because we could see Sparta was making a beeline for the hill here. Let's go over the Spartan force. Sparta has a devastating amount of archers. Rhodian slingers mixed in with Cretan archers, that is potent. Back that up with Spartan hoplites. A whole line of them, Royal Spartans, very, very tanky units. So if he gets into a defensive position like the hill with the red line terrain, he's going to use his skirmishing advantage and the heavy hitting guys from the front to basically stop everything. So I have to do something about this. But anyways, before we get to that, let's look at Heir's build. Heir here brought a lot of these thorax swordsmen. Not the best troops, but like Heir says in his video, Macedon doesn't really have that many options. And then he has 4 of these 3 mercenary Cretans and 1 just normal archer unit. So pretty potent force, I guess, for Macedon. He has a good skirmishing contingent, just high in numbers in terms of infantry. And then he's brought some companion cav. Yeah, let's go ahead and see how this plays out. And like I said, you can go ahead and check out Heir's video for his version of events. Now, at the start of the game, me and my ally didn't really have any sense of tactical plan going forward. I didn't even check his army until the battle started, so I'm like, oh shit, dude, you have all cavalry? He calls out immediately he's going to be going around the flank, and then I see that Heir and the Spartan force are going to be pushing up on the hill. So what we're going to be doing is my ally is doing a good job of throwing in some Bactrian horse archers, just here to start peppering Heir of Carthage's flank. When troops are redeploying, you want to make sure you take advantage of that their shield side might not be facing you. And that's the best thing you can do. Meanwhile, I'm kind of thinking in my head, okay, what am I going to do? Immediately, you can see this is my versatile scouting force. Thoreau's spears thrown out in the front. My light peltasts and Cretan archers moving over to get the flank shot on these guys. And then these Tarentine cav moving in. Pike line is slowly going to move into the front. Actually, before we get in on that action, I want to watch the huge line. I mean, these are the Pelennor Fields type of cavalry lineup we're seeing here. Just wanted to show you a little bit of the cinematics because this is still a massive battle despite the sort of tactics you'll be seeing on display here. But anyways, my ally is swooping around the sides. It's completely forcing Heir out of balance. Heir is going to try and throw some royal peltasts, some units with javelins against them. He doesn't really have any archers or ways to force those guys back. And the problem here is if he just pulls those units back, he's going to be susceptible to the Bactrian horse trailing with heavy shot, shooting into the backs of his men. So he's kind of best off engaging, but he can't chase them for too far. So that's important. Meanwhile, over here, I've spotted a tactical opportunity. I realized that Sparta has completely committed to taking the hill. And I'm like, okay, there's no way I can take that hill, but what can I do to take advantage of what's going on here? Well, I'm going to move forward with my tactical wing, like I said, mercenary Cretan archers for range, just to try and hit these Spartans as a repositioning. Thoreau's spear unit's always going to be nearby to screen, and I'm going to be pushing forward with my Tarentine cav. You see move orders through the center. And all of this is moving very, very quickly in my head. I had to do a quick calculation. Sparta sent cavalry up to the top of the hill to seize the top, and you know what that means? There is no supporting cav here, so I'm immediately gonna throw myself into this little gap here and just charge right on through. Heir perhaps had an opportunity to charge me with his Thessalian cav, which he's gonna try and do, but by the time he reacts, you know, he's already within range of my light peltas who are there to ward off. So like I said, always if you're gonna push with your cavalry, have a nice backup. So, you know, he would have, you know, there was a big gaping hole between the two armies, which Heir could have easily come and crushed me, except I had the units to control that peltas, back that up with Thoreau spears, range units. I can force the gates open here, you know, open the floodgates, and now that I'm in the back, that's going to sort of, you know, throw all of his defensive line up in the air. Now, take a look at this. The enemy Spartan force is going to be chasing after me. With my functional units, I can pull back and then re-engage where I need to. You know, that's the problem with Sparta. They're better on the defense, not so much on the attack. Yes, these archers are going to start to attack me, but look what I'm going to do immediately. I know these heroes of Sparta are out of range. I'm going to prioritize my targets. Mercenary archers, Cretan archers going to devastate this heroes of Sparta unit. A couple volleys and they're already down to 104, so I'm taking out these super heavy infantry, prioritizing targets on the retreat. And yeah, just destroying that heroes of Sparta. A couple volleys. The Cretan archers have retreated in the face of, you know, a lot of cavalry that I had in this vicinity. And so, yes, Sparta has taken the hill, but he's completely given up on his ally, who you will hear Heir talk about in the video. Heir does blame himself in his own video for what happened here, but I think it was just his ally's fault for claiming that hill, sending all the cav over there. He really should have kept his cav in the center, which he could have sent to support Heir, and then screened the rest of the forces as they moved over here. So I would put the blame firmly with this Spartan player who only was thinking about taking the hill. Because meanwhile, you know, Heir has been exposed on this side with the Tarentine cav now at his rear, and now again my functional groups can devastate heroes of Sparta or turn around and start hitting Heir's own guys in the side. This is again why I like bringing Thoreau spears backed up by light peltas or any skirmishing force. You can choose opportunities to just unleash with your volleys. You can get several of those. Now, meanwhile over here, like I said, Heir was caught in the weird position where he didn't have enough supporting cav here, and he had to face off against these Bactrian horse archers. So he's doing his best with some precursor jabs. His cavalry is staying close to his infantry in the supporting role, but he's just going to start to get swarmed by these Bactrian cavalry guys. So let's go ahead and watch some of these cinematics. He's going to get charged by a bunch of these guys all in the front. A lot of reserves still in the distance. You can see the numbers are starting to swarm against Heir of Carthage basically is getting swarmed from all sides. He's doing the best he can to try and tank it out, and here unfortunately he's going to get his archers and units caught, not without some pretty devastating blows against these guys. So I think the Bactrian player probably prematurely sacrificed his Bactrian horse archers, which could have been useful to take out half a regiment of just basic archers. Probably not the best move. However, it is going to open up the companion cav to some rear strikes, but again, he's throwing in horse archers, whereas he shouldn't do that. Heir is doing a good job over here of throwing in reinforcing infantry, relatively cheap I should say, infantry, thorax swordsmen into the fight. These Bactrian horse archers or Bactrian Noble Horsemen actually don't have attack order, so they are not going to get the proper charge. It would have been devastating, but now Heir is going to start bogging these guys down. Every time they pull out, it's going to be an issue. So that is kind of what's going on over here. Heir's left wing has been completely enveloped, surrounded, and he's trying to do his best to tie up the enemy forces with sort of stringent use of Thessalian and companion cavalry charge, in there to do counter assaults against the enemy cav, bog them down, tie them up, and then send in reinforcing infantry. And then he's also doing his best to keep the archers alive to ward off cavalry like this. But it is going to do a lot to whittle away at him. Meanwhile, the Spartan forces now going to be coming down off the hill. But again, in the face of volleys like that, I'm going to pull back. It's as easy as that. And now I'm around the flank. Heir is basically Thessalian cav. The only cavalry on this wing is now going to get just torn to shreds by my Tarentine cav. These guys, like I said, are very much in the line of the functional groups that I like to call. I mean, they're faster than heavy cav, and in groups like this, they'll tear you apart. They're like a wolf pack. They'll just surround, cut you off, and then turn around and unleash volleys. Meanwhile, over here, I've been taking opportunities to just shoot up the Thorax Swordsman. Something that you have to do, again, sorry for the pause, this is going to be somewhat tactical. What you have to do with these functional groups is recognize that they have limited ammo, get around the flank, and use your volleys only when it is going to get you the most number of kills. So you saw here, I only ever unleashed on Heir's guys. Look at the trajectory of these missiles, only ever unleash them when I head on the flank. It's not worth shooting from the front. So always position yourself around the flanks, force him into a tactical position where he has to retreat, and then Thoreau's spears here are going to be close enough to start to target his men. I already recognize that I did enough damage here to make them basically useless, so I'm going to be targeting the next group. I'm going to be pushing forward with Ptolemaic cav. The purpose for this is to force Heir to turn around. That is something you have to do. If your enemy is going to run away, you have to threaten that, force him to stand his ground. The best way to do that is perhaps to throw forward some heavy shot cav, because you can't run away from shot cav. They're going to tear you to pieces. So that is my threat. And again, the way I'm going to be playing with Heir here is forcing him to stop. Every time he stops, it allows me to move around the flanks. Now Sparta is slowly starting to come off the hill. The hoplite wall moving down, but again, I can pull back. Now, I have been taking losses, been pulling back, but it's just one of my functional groups, Thoreau Spears, who can take these casualties. It's fine, they're throwaways. I really want to keep my mercenary companions, mercenary Cretan archers safe, and I have some reserve Ptolemaic cav to, again, threaten my opponent if he tries to push too hard. Speaking of that, Citizen Cav is going to commit to this fight. Again, not in high numbers. And look at this. Again, let's look at this functional group. Thoreau Spears. Just in the right place to clip these guys. The Thessalian cav move in for the kill, and we're just going to obliterate anything that gets close. Peltas turn around. You can see how anything coming up through here is just going to get absolutely thrashed with all of these javelin throwing guys. You can see how quickly you can cull your enemy's numbers. So I recommend, if you're going to change up your playstyle, to try these functional groups. And by functional groups, I've been throwing that term around. What I mean is groups that can handle, they have high maneuverability, they have high javelin counts or precursor volley counts, and then you have to have something that can hold firm. In that combination, maneuverability, holding firm, and dealing damage from range, you can pick opponents apart, and that's where you really do a lot with your micro. Anyways, Heir is continuing to get swamped, and finally some Bactrian Royal Cav is going to get around and start hitting his archers. That's going to be devastating. The Hellenic cataphracts are tired but unhurt, and they're going to be starting to move around to this position. Heir is thrown a lot into this formation against these Bactrian Noble Horse, who have been getting a 17, 24, 6 kills. That is pretty much on the low end for units like this. Heir, on the other hand, 47 kills, 50 kills. So he's trading cost effectively, but it is a grinding fight, and it's a fight where he's going up 2 against 1. The Spartan player, again, not really helping out. And yep, I've left a couple token forces in the back, and you can see that's holding up the entirety of the Spartan force. Meanwhile, functional group's going to be tearing Heir apart. And like I said, the Heir spears are so great. They can go into square when enemy swordsmen are going to combat you, and take a look at what that does. Your opponent can no longer attack you from any flank. You have bonuses for bracing and defense, and then all of a sudden, I mean, take a look at this. Pull up on the side and do a drive-by with your Thessalian cav, and then you just destroy anyone who's standing here. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to line up, and I'm not even going to unleash a volley. I'm going to charge straight into his man. You don't want to waste ammo where you don't need to. Anyways, I'm forcing Heir back slowly. Pike wall, let's get a nice shot of this, is going to be playing the game Zone of Control, where I'm saying, okay, Heir, This is going to be an impenetrable wall, and you're going to have to be forced back. So what am I forcing Heir towards? I'm forcing him to retreat back towards the enemy cataphracts. I'm forcing him to retreat in the face of my Thessalian cav, which can then land strikes on his unformed men. And my ally is doing a good job of anticipating where Heir is going to be, and he's charging in with his own cataphracts. You can see every cavalry charge is going to chip away at his men, slowly but surely. Ptolemaic cav standing close to just threaten his men. Meanwhile, the pikes move closer, Galatian royal guards move closer, and I'm retreating. Now finally the Spartan player is coming back en masse, but take a look at what I do. This is what I recommend you do when you're retreating, is do an organized retreat. You know, cavalry on the wings. The best way to halt an enemy advance is to threaten the flank, because the more they push forward, well then they're just going to turn what was a flanking threat into a threat from the rear. And especially for a force like this, that's going to be damaging to him. So this is where I put 2 Thureos spears. Again, you can see their volleys. The second these Royal Spartans move past, I'm going to zoom in and hit them from the side. Then also threaten the Ptolemaic cav to move around the rear. That combination of threats is going to be enough to slow down the Spartan assault and give me more time to continue the push over on the right. Anytime, you know, this Spartan force is going to decide to turn to face my threat on the flank, that is why I have archers in the center who can then turn about and pick apart his guys. So another functional group on that far right flank, Thureos spears, light peltas, and Tarentine cav can all outmaneuver these Royal Spartans. So again, forcing the enemy to move slowly, cautiously, and pick them apart at any opportunity. And here it's kind of a countdown to see how quickly we can eliminate Heir before reinforcements get in. Now he's doing the best of a pretty shitty situation, to be honest. And look at this. I mean, 102 kills on Companion Cav, 102 as well. Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot of kills all around. So Heir is cleaning house, sort of with this backstream player, starting to whittle them down. It's the combination that is posing a danger. Over here, let's take a look and see what I was telling you about, if that came into effect. So here you go. You can see the Spartan force is starting to take some shots. They're peeling off some numbers to come against me. That is where I activate the Ptolemaic cav. I'm going to land a quick strike against these guys, just because I know I want this flank to hold out long enough and charge from Royal Spartans. These guys would lose. Not unless I get a side hit, and I figured, you know, Royal Spartans, when's a better time to hit them than when they're running? Hit them from the flank. I mean, perhaps the rear, but when they're in motion, they're not even braced. So I'm like, I'm going to take this opportunity and then come back and hit this juicy target. I see that Heir has pulled back and he's reformed. He's warded off the Bactrians. It's time for my pikes to turn about. They're then going to pin the center. Meanwhile, my mercenary Cretan archers are going to get to safety. My functional group over here is going to commit. I throw in my light peltas who are out of ammo. Again, just because you're out of ammo, don't think your units are useless. They can be used as meat shields. Here you can see Citizen Cav was coming in for a strike against my guys. Got completely caught on that, and now Thureos spears and all those units are going to come and they're going to just start unloading on these units. My archers get back in line quick enough, and you have to be very quick about this. You can see, I know my archers are well into position, and so immediately I'm not even going to wait for these guys to be within pike cover. I'm going to turn them around and I'm going to target all my archers on the nearest citizen cav. Make sure that you're targeting the most crucial of enemy components. So the citizen cav, I'm going to hit them in the flank. Immediately they're going to go from 80 men and they're going to start biting the dust. They've lost almost a third of their force right there, and the pikes continue to move forward. Going to even engage with some of the enemy cav. You can see me starting to punish them. They're kind of in awe of the moving phalangites moving forward here. But yeah, this is not good for my opponent. And then I'm going to charge with 2 Galatian royal guards, finish off that citizen cav pretty much effectively, and then charge in from the flank with some of my Thureos spears. I'm going to try and intercept some of those guys on the march, and then meanwhile my Tarentine cav, who have expended their ammo, are here to just land some strikes on Heir's guys, try and clean that up. Now over in this position, you can see where my light peltas engage with these Royal Spartans. They're getting shredded, but it was enough to hold them back. Commit my Thureos spears just to hold up this flank. Meanwhile, I'm going to land some extremely devastating and crucial strikes with my Ptolemaic cav. Remember that they had ping-pong, hit those Royal Spartans, not done too much damage, but then they got committed in through the center here. And my god, this is like the motherlode of kills that I just got here. This is incredible. Going to be getting so many kills and basically destroying what remains of the, I mean, what kills am I at? Alright, just 44, but it'll start counting up pretty significantly. Yeah, 211. Now, the Heroes of Sparta unit is still in the mix. He recommitted those to help my advance, but it is not going to stop me from racking in all the kills I can here. I need to take out the archer advantage because I know strength is with my pikes. For the moment, I've been able to zone out particular units. You know, pikes were forming. Archers still So, you know, the only reason they're still alive is because we've been able to tie up the enemy cav. And so now I'm going to be moving them into certain positions. I'm going to target, you know, royal Spartans who are exposed on the flanks. And yeah, I'm going to be doing my best at all times to corner and surround. So, you know, spears 2v1ing royal Spartans, Galatian royal guards thrown into the mix here. And then over in the distance, like I said, the importance of having this long-lasting flanking force, just the cheap Thoreau spears, is holding up 2 royal Spartans that, you know, could have otherwise been thrown into the mix. So again, make use of diversionary tactics, force your opponent to gang up on you, and take advantage of where you have greater numbers. Ptolemaic Cav is going to pull out with 65 kills, 7 losses themselves, and all along the front have these nice clusters of Spartan hoplites with their backs exposed. More of my Ptolemaic Cav and Tarentine Cav coming back and helping me clean up the enemy forces. Let's go back and watch the center. Heir has now sort of warded off the Bactrian player. In the distance, they're both going to be committed in a grinding fight, but he's going to be coming back with his Thorax swordsman. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back my archers, and I'm going to uncommit 2 of my Thorax pikemen. My archers are going to get into the safety of this position. I think these guys were out of ammo, so that's why I'm throwing them into the back of these Royal Spartans, just for a little bit of shock value. And then my pikes are going to form a defensive perimeter to guard the rear of my pikes here. I can't afford to let Heir get into the rear. I'm already kind of scared because these guys might still have javelins. Take a look at what I'm going to do here. Just anything to delay my opponent. My archers are actually in a perfect position. Don't think that just because your archers, you know, are getting shots off that those shots are effective. Run them around. You see how the enemy has basically nothing to contest my archers running around? Run them into positions like this. Shoot the Spartans in the back. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Heir's going to do a good move. He's going to just park his guys up here, and he's going to unleash with his precursor volleys against my guys. I had 2 healthy units, and I knew, you know, this is going to be pretty devastating, but if it can hold long enough, it'll be good for me. These are kind of throwaway units. Again, playing the game, zone of control. I mean, look how many javelins they're biting up right there. So only a couple more volleys, and he'll start to whittle me. But in the meantime, I've been cleaning house in the back. Archers here, for instance. Like I said, moving them to the perfect position. And then we're going to unleash nearby cavalry being knocked out. And then I'm going to land some strikes of my own into the rear with Tarentine Cav. So doing everything I can to mop up the back while my front starts to crumble. But not even crumble. Crumble is too strong of a word for what's going on here. And my ally is going to come back and try and support me. Heir, who had his gaze fixed on my men, are going to get charged in the rear by Hellenic Counterfract. The mobility of my ally is pretty good. He's kind of leaving Heir's units alone. Going to come back over here. And so my pike wall is being super useful. It's kind of rare that you get to use pikes like this. But yeah, zone of control with these guys. Very, very important. Over here, I did get caught between, you know, 2 prime units. That would be pretty devastating. But thank God I had Galatian Royal Guard. I think as part of my build, I really needed to have Galatian Royal Guards to tank against infantry. And my guys, I know 111 kills here, they will destroy enemy units. They are so strong. You know, I'm going to start peeling away, and I'm going to be a bit more aggressive with my pikes. Going to move right up into Heir's face, and again, just start zoning him out, forcing him back, and tying in the rear. I'm going to continue to have all these strikes with the Salian Cav, 137 kills on them. Ptolemaic Cav doing incredible work over here, breaking Spartan hoplites who are again caught up against cheap Thoreau spears. Let's take a look over here. These Thoreau spears still holding out, allowing my Ptolemaic Cav to rack up 305 kills in repeated strikes against Royal Spartans. So you can see just how useful these units are. These Thoreau spears, like I said, my functional groups from the beginning, they cleared the way for the assault through both of the armies. They got javelin strikes against the enemy Thorax swordsmen, and now they're going to be holding the flanks, allowing me to do hammer and anvils. Extremely good troops. And now that I see Heir's guys are starting to waver, my Galatians are in the mix, I'm going to go ahead and charge in again, just blow after blow, ticking units away and definitely doing a lot to their morale. Let's get a pause. And let's watch a little bit of this. Relish in the destruction of Heir's final unit here. Going to charge in with my Ptolemaic Cav. And now my ally is going to close in with what remaining troops he has. And again, my pikes being extremely useful. Oh, holy crap. They have 145 kills. I have never... Well, not never, but it's rare to see this in multiplayer. That many kills. But yeah, I mean, I'm using my pikes for zone of control, forcing Heir to just face this cavalry. You know, he's caught between, like Heir said in his video, caught between pikes and cavalry, you know, a rock and a hard place essentially, and that is exactly how you should use pikes. So very devastating combination here. Gonna finally actually rout that flank. Sparta still does have some skirmishers. I'm gonna be doing my best to tie them up. We're gonna be doing our best to try and, you know, counteract these Royal Spartans, but Spartans are tanky, and there's gonna be a lot of Spartans left over. I think if you take a look at the sheer number of kills and bodies over here, a lot of them are actually going to be cavalrymen. So my ally, yeah, despite getting a fair amount of kills with his Bactrians, because he went all cavalry, he had to sacrifice them, do pullouts from engagements, and all around not be super effective. I mean, I say that while we look at these 152 kill units. Yeah, actually, well, I guess that's because they're the surviving ones. The other ones didn't do nearly as well. But yeah, he just didn't have the numbers to bring to the fight. Once more, pikemen forcing Heir out of position as he tries to skirt out of position. That's when I'm going to throw in my Ptolemaic Cav, who are almost at 200 kills. Pikes aggressively. Take a look at this. I'm giving them movement orders. That's the only real way you can get them to really commit to fights. Otherwise, they'll kind of stand out of range. And then we're going to swarm forces like that. Let's see, where are my Galatians? 177 kills on these guys, winning very effectively. They're going to slaughter Thorax Swordsmen. Those guys are pretty crap. In the back, however, Sparta is starting to claw it back. He's breaking some of my units, and now he's doing kind of what I had done, which is start targeting my guys who are engaged. So Sparta will clean up the rear. Thankfully, I still have some Ptolemaic Cav, who at this point are at 380 kills. That is very, very, very impressive. And you can see here, they're just going to play hide and seek with some of these remaining Rhodian slingers and whatnot. It's going to be enough to destroy the enemy forces. And if we are the only guys left with Cav, well then we're going to have the upper hand, obviously. Spartan player is going to be disengaging from these pikes. Probably a good move. I think he spent too much of the battle trying to charge me head on. And that is why my pikes were able to, you know, rack up so many kills. I didn't show you too much of that footage, but relatively often you would see Spartans charging pikes, which is not at all a good move. Pikes again, zone of control, guarding the rear of my Galatians, who are very important units. And again, you know, I'm going to use them to shield the back, prevent him from getting around me. And now two Galatian Royal Guard also being guarded by pikemen. Pikemen coming in from the side. Yeah, this is as aggressive as you'll see pikes get. Which I think pikes are fun to bring. You don't see enough of it in multiplayer. Meanwhile, Heir's last units are going to get killed. I do throw in my general unit who has 28 men left. So he's accruing a lot of kills, and you can see he is active. This guy was using, I had the strategist general, so I was using a battle rhythm and second wind successively. On heavy cav, that is extremely potent. These guys will not tire out if you use that, and you'll be able to get so many kills on infantry, which was, you know, a lot of this battle just came down to hammer and anvils. So continuing to get kills, but slowly but surely he's going to start taking out my men. But the other unit is going to be, you know, finished off with these Hellenic counterfracts, each getting, you know, over 100 kills, some of them up in the 200s. Sparta's going to re-engage against us. Spartan hoplites and the general heroes of Sparta are still alive. It's not going to stop us from landing some opportunistic strikes on these guys, just trying to get all the kills we can in the world. Pikemen, man, playing zone of control, just forcing Heir out. Yeah, these pikes are going to chase these guys around all day. Anytime, like I said, they decide to run away, I'm going to bowl them over. And the important part about when you commit cav like this, especially against Spartan spears like this who are very effective, is you have to pull your guys out of combat. So I did that immediately. As the enemy Spartans start to get up, you want to pull out of there. Now I did take some losses against them because they have, you know, they're real Spartans. They have elite spear status, so they'll bounce back some of the damage to you. But that's why I have pikes to greet them right when they get up. I'm going to go ahead and try and be opportunistic again with my general somehow still being alive with 10 kills. And Heir over here is trying to get away from my pikes, so I'm just going to keep doing feints with my cavalry. You know, I give a movement attack order here, and then you can see that he is here basically trying to scoot out of position, but every time I'm just going to engage with my cav. You know, he formed into shield wall, I'm going to pull back, then I'm going to form up, and I tried to give a movement order away. Foolishly, 2 of my cavalrymen go through, and one of them was my general. So Heir there, you know, I'm going to finish him off quickly. I'm going to check on my general, but it's going to turn out, unfortunately, that my general is dead. So, yeah, that was unfortunate. I mean, he was down to the last couple men. I can only ask of so much of a unit that's racked up 250 kills. Definitely awesome. And pikes, yep, cleaning up kills. 92 on those guys. And now we're going to come in for the final moments in diamond formation against the enemy general. Again, those guys kind of can just, you know, keep walking away despite, you know, cavalry charges into them. They're still very tanky units, and so that's why I need desperately to bring in my thorax pikemen. And this is it, guys. This is it. I mean, look at the freaking battlefield here. Kills all over the place. This is definitely a massive battle if I've ever seen one. So down to the last man, and I do have to say, well played on Heir. I think that he did the best that he could, given the conditions that his ally definitely did abandon him. Spartan player not playing it out very well. I think he had, you know, I was able to capitalize on his exposed skirmishers, took those guys out without them getting many kills. I'm able to get a lot of conditions where I can move my pikes into Spartan hoplites, sort of force them into my pikes. That is exactly how do you want to take out Spartans. Yeah, I mean, you can see here just getting tremendous value out of my pikes. Heir, on the other hand, I mean, he played very well as he could have, given that he was swarmed by cavalry, doing a good job of cost-effectively tanking, swamping them, and finishing them off. However, his micro was stretched basically to the brink, allowing me to use my tactical units on this side to start picking apart his lines, force them back, and then again use the presence of my pikes to just box him in to positions where we would have, you know, we really wanted to. Here comes the final moments where we still have some remaining cav, just chopping away at some of these enemy units. Spartans, like I said, super tanky, but yeah, they definitely can't hold out. I still even have some Galatians left over, so it's been over for quite some time now, just slowly ticking away. These Spartans doing a last holdout, and they do have 202 kills on these Heroes of Sparta, so nothing to snuff at, you know, for sure. Definitely tanky units, but just not used as effectively as they could have been. Anyways, I want to thank Heir of Carthage for putting this battle on his channel. I had a great time playing with him, and yeah, I know there's going to be a second battle that hopefully we'll both be able to share, so you can see both perspectives, our train of thought. Definitely a good player. I know a lot of people have been asking to see us do a 1v1. Maybe we can make that happen in the future. I know that Heir has issues getting games, being that he has, you know, work to go to, and I myself obviously came out of college, but now I have work, so hopefully both of our time frames will match up and we can get some games on. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for more. I'll try and make it happen, and I hope to have more games between myself and other YouTubers. I think those are always fun, kind of like personality fights. Yeah, so leave your recommendations below for what you'd like to see in terms of battles like that, and I'll try and get that to you. Definitely more with Heir. You know, I love watching his channel. He does good stuff, especially his analysis of battles. You know, I'll do tactical analysis, but I'm terrible when it comes to analyzing the stats of units. I've never had, you know, the heart to try and, you know, analyze or memorize unit stats, which is probably to my detriment, but Heir definitely knows how to explain that. So check him out, of course, if you haven't already. He does great battles, and yeah, definitely played his heart out in this one. You can see the kills here. I think I got, yeah, most number of kills by far. 534 kills on Ptolemaic Cav, basically eating the entirety of Sparta's skirmishing force. Basically all my units, I think, getting up, yeah, with the exception of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. 3/4 of my forces got over 100 kills apiece. The Galatians themselves, 332, 191, 221 with thorax pikesmen. That's something, excuse me, that you never see. So overall, fun battle, very interesting opportunities. I think the flexibility that my archers, Thoreo spears, and Tarentine Cav offered was just potent, especially when the two enemy armies split up. You can see Cannabis Club here not bringing very many men because it was all cavalry. Getting okay. I think the only time you'll start seeing cost effectiveness is once you start to clear 100. But I mean, Citizen Cav, Bactrian Noble Horse here, not getting anywhere near enough kills. Even these cataphracts for their price, not getting too much. Sparta doing pretty poorly. I mean, his Spartan hoplites and Heroes of Sparta doing well, but take a look at this. Heroes of Sparta here, 0 kills. Those are the ones my archers focused on immediately. Here's going to be Heir with his guys getting good kills with the companions. Thessalians getting eaten up by enemy cav. Archers getting swamped pretty heavily, and his thorax swordsman trading pretty cost effectively here and there, but just there wasn't anything over the top in terms of his units, and that is partially the fault of the scenario of the battle, and partially just the roster of Macedon. Heir of Carthage does a good job of talking about that in his video. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Heir of Carthage's perspective. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.